Hello there, and welcome once again to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers. We're here every week meeting interesting people and dealing with topical issues, and this is a topic that really encompasses the entire state.
Well, it does. We're going to be talking about the Oklahoma Municipal League with the executive director, Mike Fina. And it's a topic that I know you have wanted to get on for a while, and we were able to get it put together. I think it'll be fascinating, frankly.
Obviously, Oklahoma has communities of all sizes. So just a few people living in some communities, and obviously Oklahoma City and Tulsa comprising, now over 1 million people each in the metro areas. And this is an organization that tries to keep some cohesive effort on the importance of local government and allows us to have a louder voice out at the state capitol and to learn from each other. So it's a very important part of local government in the state of Oklahoma, and Mike Fina is a wonderful representative of municipalities. We'll have Mike on the air right after this.
When I went over the first time was the USS Kearsarge, it was carrier. And the second one went around the world on USS Hornet. My name is Eugene R. Paler. I'm a Native veteran of the United States Navy, and I am Chickasaw. It's really a good experience because you get to see how other people live. And I've never been to a country I'd trade for this United States of America. So that kind of puts a tear in my eye. I grew up here in this country. I grew up in Oklahoma. It gives you a pride in the United States of America. If somebody needs something, you'd go help them. It's a pretty good country. We're just a top-notch country, and the people are top-notch people.
See more stories about the Chickasaw people at profilesofenation.com.
We want to reach out to every veteran we can in Oklahoma. There's somewhere around 340,000 veterans here in Oklahoma, and half of those are still unaware of the benefits or don't know how to go about getting them.
We help guide the veterans through the VA system. It's a giant maze, and we kind of help guide them through that maze. So our job is to try to help the veterans get everything that they're legally entitled to. There's just a special place in my heart for our Vietnam veterans and our World War II veterans, as well as any veteran, and that's why I do the job.
Back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett, Kent Meyers, Mike Fina joining us, and you're going to tell us more about Mike.
Yeah, Mike is the executive director of the Oklahoma Municipal League. He did his undergraduate work at Texas State University, where he was the fullback on the Bobcats football team, distinguished himself on the football field. In 1999, he was working at the House of Representatives in a number of different positions over the years. His final position, I think, was the Public Relations Director for the Speaker of the House. He worked in the Oklahoma Tourism Department for a while, and in 2014 went to the Oklahoma Municipal League. In 2017 became its executive director, and is just doing a grand job promoting the interests of the cities and their constituents. Mike, really glad to have you.
Thanks.
For those who are unaware of this organization, tell us about the Oklahoma Municipal League.
I think it always surprises people when I tell them that the Municipal League has been around for over 100 years. We have been doing this since statehood, representing cities and towns in the state of Oklahoma. We actually even predate the National League of Cities, which is a similar organization for all leagues across the country. And we do represent all 586 of them, so municipalities,
really?
yes. In some capacity. Mick, you know this better than anybody, we've got from just a few in some of our communities up to the size of Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and they're all represented. They're represented on our board, and we support all of them. So.
And a lot of similarities, a lot of differences, from one community to the next. But I think it's important that you also offer training and information because, You know, mayor in the state of Oklahoma is pretty much come from the citizenry. These aren't really political jobs.
Right.
Sometimes in the larger cities it gets into that area, but the vast majority, it's not a political job. And so people come from all lines of work and background, and all of a sudden they're thrust into this parliamentary procedure, and you know, weighing on their shoulders is you know, the futures of their citizens and the young children, and so it can be a, you know, an overwhelming responsibility, and people need some help, you know, trying to maneuver through all of the morass.
Absolutely. I always joke that, and really not joke, but we have some very fine public servants that will get off a tractor and walk into their city council meeting, and they'll be running their communities. And when people get elected, and the first time a municipal budget is put in front of them, even if you're a business person, a municipal budget is different. And so we provide that kind of training to give you those tools. One of the only statutory things that we have at the Municipal League is that we're in charge of the new Officer Institute, which every municipal elected official has to attend that after they're elected. So we do train anybody that gets elected to a municipal position, we train them.
And that's fairly new. I mean, it hadn't always been that way.
You know, when I was elected mayor in 2006, I went through the first class. So
Yeah.
2006 is when.
It explains my ineptness, because I never went through that
No,
class.
you predated.
I was mayor in 2004, because I attended some classes, but I remember, you know, there was nothing mandatory about it.
No, that was something that the Municipal League pushed for to get that, and has been a very successful program. In fact, we have municipal officials that always come back to say, we'd like to do a second round. One day is not enough. We need more help. So we're always doing training.
Now, what similarities are there from one town to another? What types of issues do you see coming back over and over again?
You know, we all share some similar things. We're all struggling for economic development and sales tax, and that is the main source of our funding in municipal government. So you always see that problem from city to city. It does not matter the size, but we're always struggling for the sales tax. And then I had mentioned the budget process. Municipal budgets are very unique. Well, government budgets in general are unique. So having that kind of training is very important for our officials.
I noticed you were kind enough to send us kind of a list of things
Sure.
that the Oklahoma Municipal League does. I want to ask you about a couple of those if I can. You provide inquiry service. I think I probably wrongfully got some inquiry service information from the Municipal League one time. I called up and said, I need an answer to a question. They said, are you a member of the league? And I said, yes, I'm mayor of Oklahoma City. No, that is not true. Anyways, what is the inquiry service?
So any municipal official or municipal professional can call the league, and we have a team of folks that will listen to their problem. With over 100 years of a database of problems, we pretty much can answer anything that a municipal official would call in with. But we run it through our inquiry service, which includes our legal department as well. We compare things to municipal statutes so that we can give them a good answer on how they deal with their municipal issues. And they range from everything you can imagine, from parliamentary to budgetary, anything that a municipality would deal with.
Seems like municipalities are in the news from time to time dealing with giving notice of meetings and agendas that were either adequate or inadequate. I guess that topic comes up quite a bit.
Yes, the Open Records Act, Open
Yeah.
Meetings and Open Record Act is something that we deal with quite frequently. We work with Mark at the Oklahoma Press Association to do some of that training because they're really the keeper of that at the OPA. So we work with a lot of different entities, but that is one issue and a lot of our municipalities stumble on that one. It's not terribly complicated, but it's really about staying organized. So,
let me ask another question that isn't necessarily related to what you do. This is, of course, the Oklahoma Municipal League we're talking about. Do other states have similar organizations?
yes, there's 49 other leagues around the country. Hawaii's the only state that doesn't have one because they only have one municipality, so I guess there's not much of a need for a league, but every one of our other states does have some form of a league. And we're part of that national organization, so we meet pretty regularly. So I'm actually going to other states and learning about what issues they're having, and it's really helpful for us in Oklahoma.
You mentioned an important issue at the top of the show that might be good to kind of talk a little bit more about, and that is municipalities' over-reliance on sales tax as a revenue source. And the reason I think in Oklahoma it really sets up a lot of unfair playing fields in trying to fund your city is because Walmart has such a strong hold on the retail market in the state, especially in the medium size and the smaller cities. And so, you know, Walmart's not in every town, obviously. And so your own citizens' tax base might be spent in another municipality, and so you lose that sales tax dollar, and that's how you're going to fund public safety, and that's how you're going to fund a lot of services. And that's a real issue.
Well, it's funny, it was a real issue for me as the mayor of Piedmont because everybody drove to your city. Oklahoma City was a great neighbor, but that was a problem that we
No,
did
of course,
suffer there.
it's a really real problem for Piedmont.
Walmart's an interesting entity. We love Walmart. Walmart is the biggest sale of tax driver in our municipalities, but like you said, they're not in everyone. And sometimes if Walmart relocates from one municipality and just crosses over to the border to another, it can devastate a community. That's not Walmart's fault. We have to be better. Two things. I mean, one, the state needs to take a look at that because when I was first elected mayor, there were only 3 states in the nation that actually funded the way that we do. Then fast forward to me coming back to as executive director, now we're the only state. Mississippi was the last one to change it, and I always joke, no offense to my friends in Mississippi, but I never want to be behind Mississippi in anything. So we really have to look at that. Now, I will say that we did talk to Governor Stitt. We explained this to him. It was a new problem to him, and it didn't surprise us, and really kind of got down to the basics of it. And he has agreed that he would at least look at it. So we want to continue to put that in front of our legislature and see if there's a better way to fund municipal governments.
And it's also a very populist state constitution that asks governments of all really sizes to vote on things. And so that's kind of different. Oklahomans have votes on anytime you want to change the taxation, seemingly you have to hold a vote, and a lot of other things too. But discuss how that can be different from one state to another.
Well, I will tell you, let me tell you why that's frustrating in Oklahoma particularly. Because we are a populous state, we like to elect things in our municipal level. So when the idea of a preemptive bill comes at the legislature that keeps us from being able to do that very thing is very frustrating to us. We fight preemption bills at the Capitol every single year. And those have really impacted municipal governments, especially over the last 5 years. Larger advocacy groups that really don't like municipalities having that ability have spent a lot of lobbying dollars at the Capitol and I don't blame them. It's just that it's frustrating to us when it impacts our bottom line in municipal government. So.
Mike Fina is our guest. He's the executive director of the Oklahoma Municipal League. We'll be right back.
OU Law has a history and heritage that are unparalleled. At the University of Oklahoma College of Law, we empower our students to pursue the career of their dreams. We have the highest U.S. News ranking ever achieved by an Oklahoma law school. We are the first law school in the country to launch a college-wide digital initiative, and this year, our competition teams rank number 2 in the nation. OU Law, generations of excellence, limitless possibilities.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. loyal to you.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers, and our guest is Mike Fina, the Executive Director of the Oklahoma Municipal League.
Mike, tell our viewers a little bit about your staff at OML.
The OML staff is comprised of 17 professionals that range from attorneys down to support staff. We've got a great team at OML. They're doing the work of about 50 people. We could always use more, but I got a great team out there. So.
And you were telling us that healthcare costs are escalating and that some of the municipalities are turning to OML for some help in that area.
Yes, last year we had several municipalities in a short, I suppose it was about the time that they were renewing their health insurance, that contacted us and said, these healthcare costs are getting out of control. We really would like OML to take a look at this. So we looked at different options, and I'm excited to announce that in January we're going to launch Municipal Health Solutions, which is going to be a healthcare product. It's managed by the municipality members, so we're hoping that they're going to be able to take control of their own future for health.
And so it's a larger group, and so the idea is that they could get a better price.
It's just the pool, the whole pool mentality.
It just gets larger.
So.
Well, that's going to be announced when? First of the year?
We've announced it. It will start for January enrollees.
Okay.
So we're advertising it now.
And so if our viewers are interested in their municipality looking into that, this would be a good thing for them to contact the city about.
Absolutely.
I know one of the issues that we faced the entire time I was in municipal government was sales tax exemptions. And to try and succinctly explain that the state of Oklahoma and its revenue streams are pretty well balanced. They have different ways of receiving revenue. And as you know, there's a state income tax and there's a state sales tax and et cetera, a lot of fees. But municipalities are overly reliant on sales tax as one specific revenue stream. It's generally over half the revenue that a municipality has coming in. And as a result, if the legislature ever decides that some sort of good or service is not going to be taxable, it affects municipal government more than it does state government. And a lot of times I think municipal leaders feel like the state leaders don't get that and realize what a burden they can be placing on local governments.
Absolutely. There's 150 sales tax exemptions on the books in Oklahoma, and it represents $7.2 billion in exemptions in dollars to the state and municipalities. That's very frustrating to us. But on the other hand, I'm also an economic development guy like you are, so I look at that as also an economic development tool. So we don't want to get rid of sales tax exemptions. We just want to make sure that we're getting the most out of them. One of the things that we're going to propose at the legislature this year, and this is something you actually might remember, Mayor, we have the liaison board to the tax commission. That started in, I believe, 2007, and you and I actually were in the first few meetings with then Mayor Dewey Bartlett. That liaison board was designed for us to sit down with the tax commission and talk about, all right, how do we better manage our relationship with the tax commission and the sales tax dollars coming in, and it has been very helpful for the municipal league or municipalities in general. They came up with an idea. When you look at the sales tax exemptions, there's a lot of loss because of maybe old technology, different reasons why there's loss in there. So we've looked at some areas where if we just modernized how the tax commission works, that we could save the state actually a lot of tax dollars, and in turn would save municipalities. They're pretty simple fixes. One, it would be going from a 3-year renewal on the sales tax exemption certificate to a 1-year. One of the problems is that when you go into a business and you present this, they have no way of knowing if that sales tax certificate is actually valid. So by going to a 1-year, keeping the database fresh, it'll be a lot better actually on our businesses too. We talked to, the liaison board talked to Costco and Hobby Lobby, presented this idea to them, and they actually really liked it, because one of the problems for a big business like that deals with a lot of sales tax exemptions is if they get audited and they approved a purchase, they're responsible for those sales tax dollars. So we actually will be saving the business community money. if we just fixed 1% of the losses, what we anticipate is it would mean about $60 million back in the state budget and then $50 million back into municipal budgets around the state. So we're really going to be pressing for that one hard at the Capitol this year, but it's a little bit complicated, so we're going to have to do a lot of educating with the legislators, but I think they'll get it. So.
And you provide services not only for elected officials, but city managers,
yes,
city clerks, and so on. I don't think a lot of people recognize that part of the organization.
You know, municipal government, we have to have all of those cogs turning in order to make municipal government work, whether it's our attorneys or our clerks or our city managers. So we do represent all of those groups individually as well, and we're always training them in their specific areas. One of the ththings that we do at our annual conference every year is having tracks for all of those different parts of municipal government. Last year, I think the first year I was a director, I started calling our municipal staff municipal professionals, and so I always refer to that term because I think that these folks, they don't make a lot of money, but the majority of them have actually dedicated their lives to municipal government. So I felt like that was a much better way to approach this, to call them municipal professionals, because we have folks, we hand out 25-year awards all the time, and I'm just amazed at the cities when I go in and there's 10, 20 people that we're giving awards to because they've spent their whole career in municipal government.
I noticed on some information you forwarded to me that you engage in something called a visioning session. What is that?
So years ago, there was a organization called the Oklahoma Community Institute. You might have heard of them. I don't remember what year that they actually closed their doors, but OML actually got all of the materials from that. We were just incorporated the OCI into OML. One of the things that they did was long-range planning for communities. Now theirs was a very in-depth, several-week or several-month process, but what we did is we took the very first phase, the visioning phase, which is always the hardest for when a municipality says, or any organization said, we want to do something bigger and better, but you have all of the cats are going in different directions. So we've taken that process and we've boiled it down to a one-meeting visioning phase where we can bring them in, get them all heading in the right direction, and then at that point we can turn to them and say, all right, now you know where you want to go. Here's some great economic developers or planners that you could contract with to go to the next step. So, and it's always the fun part is the visioning part when you're coming up with the big ideas. So it's great to be able to help our communities do that.
What's on the horizon? What are you going to be working on this legislative session?
Well, I had mentioned the one big bill with the sales tax exemptions. The other one is actually a carryover from last year, is our public safety bill. And what that will allow us to do is, and it would be by a vote of the people, but it would allow municipalities to capture 5 mils of the ad valorem tax. It's actually technically would be in a form of a fee, and we could use that money for public safety, fire, police, ambulance. That is, in any municipality, across the board, that is always the biggest expense, is our public safety. So we're trying to find ways to get other dollars into the public safety. And it's also one of the most important things that we do at the municipal government.
Is that something that a municipality on its own couldn't do right now?
No. We don't have access to ad valorem, and this would just open that door. And people get very nervous when municipalities start talking about getting ad valorem taxes. So we've had to do a lot of educating with our partners, like with the Farm Bureau and the counties, and for them to understand what we're trying to do with that bill. But I think it's good for everybody all the way around if we could get that passed.
And I think it's interesting that when you start polling people nationally now, they have little faith in federal government. They have a little more faith in state government, but the highest level of faith that the American people have is their local government. Yes. I think that speaks to you and your cohorts around the country who are helping local government and municipal officials do better.
I believe so. We have a wide range of councils out there, and some of them govern from very beautiful chambers, and others are sitting in small rooms behind plastic tables, but it's all the same. But I think it's because the citizens can sit there right across, and the citizens can see their work in municipal government in their own advocacy, and they can change things right there in that
right.
They can make a difference.
They can.
And it could be somebody who's watching the show right now has been thinking about running for city council in their respective town, and they should know that there are resources out there to help them get up to speed if they decide to make that decision. Mike, thanks for everything you're doing, and thanks for coming on the show.
We appreciate the league.
Thank you.
Kent and I will be back right after this.
It used to be okay in hospitals. It used to be okay in movie theaters. It was okay in classrooms, restaurants, and airplanes. But thanks to a greater understanding of the dangers, that's not okay anymore. So now that we know secondhand smoke causes lifelong health problems, why is it still okay to smoke with children in the car? Bottom line, it's not okay. Let's get serious about protecting kids. Join the fight at stopswithme.com.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
You have children coming from a different lifestyle, different mindset. You have to open your arms and really do what you have to do to have that child become a part of your family. And if it's more patience, that's what you do. Kids got to know they can trust you. And that's what we try to do with these kids.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of the verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
Welcome back to the set of the verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers. And we actually talked about a topic today that I knew more about than you did, and that's really rare.
No.
That's not a surprise to our viewers, I know. But
I felt right
I spent
at home,
so
actually.
much time in municipal government and working nationally in Washington on behalf of cities around the country that having Mike on I thought was really going to be enlightening for a lot of people.
I had a law professor in law school that taught municipal corporations, class I took, I don't know why. But he kept talking about the Oklahoma Municipal League over and over and over again and how good they were. And now Mike has told us about that, and I agree with it.
Yeah, Mike does some great work, and so does his staff. Let me tell you about some website information we have for the OML, if I can find it here. OML.org, OML.org, more information about the Oklahoma Municipal League. That's going to do it for this week's show. For Kent Meyers, I'm Mick Cornett. We'll see you next week with another edition of The Verdict.